The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 15th day of October, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Teray Tall, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news. Teray.
Jamal.
Hey, I forgot what you look like. I mean, you know,
I was going to ask, is today the best day of your life?
Yeah. I mean, my young, little argumentative, debating, discussing, heated, educated. What I mean, I have so many names for you. Like, where you been? What's happening? How's life?
Life is great. I got back to school 2 days ago after spending the summer in Bermuda, which was wonderful. And I was working a 9 to 5. So I couldn't join you on these airwaves, but I'm back. So let's get into it.
Since you mentioned it, I put this video up yesterday, not to make fun of the guy. I think people got to understand something about me. I don't do things to make fun of people. I really don't. Like, I go to comedy shows to laugh. I don't need to make fun of people to laugh. But I shared this video on my WhatsApp status of a guy crashing out about 9 to 5 yesterday. Like, boy, boy was crashing out. Man, he was going off tomorrow. What is this BS? We ain't supposed to be living like this. And you got me going to work to we go to jobs we don't like to pay for things that that should be free. And I may not agree because I don't mind working for what I have. Literally, like that's just. I think that even if we grow our own food, we're working, right? We're going out, we're planting it, we're working. Like I believe that that's what our ancestors did for us. They taught us how to work for our families, provide for our families. Everyone has roles back then. But I think his point is how normalized 9 to 5 and being away from your family and building your family has become, where, you know, we spoke about it yesterday or a day before about, you know, children, you know, parents, and not just single parents, but there are married parents where both mother and father have honest 9 to 5 jobs that don't pay enough. So they have to both go work second jobs and children are left to raise them. So on. I just think we need to keep in context. So while he was crashing out, and a lot of people hit me up laughing, I'm like, I was really doing it because I say it on this show all the time. I'm like, it's something wrong that most people, Teray, like literally, if we did a poll right now and people were being honest, how many people go to jobs that they hate? If people were honest, probably 90% or more.
A lot. Yeah, I would say a lot of people. And they just do it as like a means to an end. Like I know a lot of people in my family are like, my job is my job. I don't find joy in it. I don't find fulfillment. I don't find purpose. But I do find purpose and fulfillment and joy in the things my job enables me to do.
Yeah.
So like I feel that. I mean, a 9 to 5 can be really grueling, you know what I mean? Because it's like every day and it can get really monotonous. So that man who's crashing out, good on him. Because sometimes you need to crash out, I think, a bit about these things. But yeah, I think you're right.
That's his release. That's his release. All right, folks. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Mwalimu, Melodye, Micere, Van Putten on the show. We're going to be discussing the Ashay Program and African-centered education. I'm really looking for. Teray, did you plan on being here for this conversation? Like you saw?
No, it was divine timing. It was divine timing because I heard about the Ashay Program at the town hall, and I was like, this sounds like something that, you know, we need to discuss or needs to happen. And then the day of my return, here we have it. This is why you got to speak things into the universe. You know what I mean? You got to speak it out.
Return on this day, folks. What a joy. Boy, yeah. We're going to be discussing some things that, like I said, the Ashay Program, African-centered education. So a conversation I believe every Bermudian needs to be a part of. The daily play is going to be music today. Yeah, music. So let's see if the young buck can guess this one. Yeah. Folks, don't forget to.
We see who got on, by the way, Beyonce.
Going a bit back a bit further than that. Yeah, back a bit further than her. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with what we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Teray, you know what? Before we jump into today's discussion, folks, you know how we do an annual survey every year? Well, the survey is live. It's live, right? So audience, go on thedailyhour.com. It takes 10 minutes. I got the prize list. We're giving away quite a lot of prizes this year, about 5 or 6 prizes, if not more, because we're still getting prizes donated to us. So previous years, we'd give away 1 prize. We're going to be giving away 6 or 7 prizes this year. So again, if you haven't already, it hadn't even been made public yesterday, and we had about a quarter of people who filled it out last year, fill it out already. So again, this survey, if you're tuned in on Hot 107.5, just go to thedailyhour.com. If you're streaming with us, thedailyhour.com, help us get as much information as possible so we can build an audience profile so that we know what your needs and your wants and your likes are. But let's jump into today's discussion, Teray. We're asking the audience, what are your thoughts on absentee voting for Bermudians? Again, I think she planned it like this. And should all Bermudians overseas be allowed to vote? Let me just give some foundation and then I'll let Teray take it away. So you know that Teray and her colleagues at Bermuda Youth Connect were heavy on this, heavy on this particular topic leading up to the February 2025 general election. Well, the One Bermuda Alliance recently tabled the Absentee Voting Act in the House of Assembly, aiming to allow Bermudians who are temporarily overseas for study, work, medical reasons, etc., to vote. Under the proposed legislation, eligible voters must be ordinarily resident in Bermuda and registered, but may apply to vote absentee if they are outside of Bermuda on polling day. The bill allows the parliamentary registrar to choose the technology or method for absentee voting, whether it's postal, electronic, supervised in person at designated locations. The government has said it is committed to electoral reform, including absentee voting, but has criticized the opposition's move to table the bill without full public consultation. The Ministry of the Cabinet Office and Digital Innovation has indicated that work is underway to establish a framework by September 2026. Teray, this is something that you are very passionate about. This is a topic that no one can talk to you or tell you nothing about.
Well, they can tell me some things. Okay. I'm open to hearing it as long as it's the right thing.
Okay. Yeah. That's relative, but okay. What are your thoughts on the opposition tabling it? I mean, and audience, like, again, what are your thoughts on absentee voting for Bermudians overseas? Should it just be Bermudians who are ordinarily residents, or should all Bermudians who live overseas be allowed to vote in Bermuda elections?
That is a deep question. I think absentee ballots should be a thing like that. My position was made very clear early on in the year. And I think the opposition's decision to table it is a good one. I mean, I think the government responded and said they're shocked to see this pass without any public consultation. But frankly, I think people were just shocked that it wasn't done years ago. So even if the opposition is kind of trying to beat them to the punch, good on them. Put pressure on the government to do something, to act. Because before this, we never had a timeline for when it would happen. It was just in a manifesto, in the PLP's manifesto, and the OBA mentioned it a couple of times. So by the OBA tabling this, now we've got word from the PLP that, oh, they're working to implement this before the next general election, when we hadn't known that before, or it wasn't known to me. Maybe the information was out there, I could have missed it. But I think I'm glad to see it, honestly, even if this is political expediency, the same way holding an election while students are abroad is political expediency. I think it's great. In terms of Bermudians who live abroad, right now, I think my position is they should also be able to vote in elections, quite frankly. Because I think you're a perfect example of this, Jamel. You don't live in Bermuda, but you are so connected to Bermuda politics, culture. I think you're a trusted public voice, right? So I think considering things like that, or like medical challenges, and Bermuda's population is just too small, I think, to even think about like, oh, people in foreign countries influencing elections. Like the considerations are very, very different for Bermuda. So I'd be supportive of people overseas. Also, there's an additional benefit insofar as we can track Bermudians who are overseas. Charles H. Jeffers is always banging this drum. He's like, we don't know who's here. We don't know who's not here. And if there is an effort around this, then maybe we'll have a bona fide list of Bermudians outside of Bermuda. And I think that's all around good. So I'm happy and I'm supportive.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Teray. I think, and I obviously, I believe I should have the right to vote. I understand the concerns for those who say not all Bermudians, because they might feel like, well, you don't even live here and you might vote for something that's not in everyone else's best interest. I get that. But I literally live between two countries. I think for me, I think that's why I went ahead and got my U.S. citizenship, because once Bermuda removed me, I'm like, well, I'm stateless as far as a voter. Like, if someone doesn't hold citizenship to another country and they only hold it to Bermuda, or status, since it was not a nation, but you get my point. I mean, taking that person's right to vote away, it just seems weird and strange. But let's go to the audience. They've been quite talkative so far. So we've got Rhonda Trott. Rhonda Trott says, the problem always stole at the definition of who is ordinarily a resident, or Bermuda always become stick and pin is ordinarily a resident in Bermuda a verb, or I think she means noun. Well, here's the thing. I think that is subjective, because what is said is, what is it? 6 months at a time, must live on the island 6 months. I think that is subjective regardless of how you look at it, because some can say I'm ordinarily a resident. I have a Belco bill, bills in Bermuda. I have business in Bermuda. I hire Bermudians. It does get sticky. Like, how do you define that? And do you make changes of how it was defined 20 years ago versus how it's defined now? Ms. Ellen K. Horton says, no, not all persons should live overseas, as far as should all Bermudians be allowed to vote. But why not? I'd like to hear the concern. And look, I get the Republicans saying that it can lead to voter fraud and the like. I get it. But those arguments only come up when they don't get their way in terms of the victory or so, let's go. I'm going to go through these a few comments. Sean Smith said, I am for absentee voting, and it should be available to all Bermudians. And WKD Lama says, we all should be allowed to vote. I do not know why there will be opposition to it. Charles Second, he says, this is something I've been advocating for since I moved back to Bermuda. I believe that all Bermudians should have a vote in elections. I would like to see an MP who represents all those overseas. And then Renee Simmons says, does this include Bermudians who have been overseas for over 30 years but visit every year? What does this stipulate? I have relatives who have been abroad for several years but still. Well, this legislation is only for ordinary residents of Bermuda, or however they. Basically, it's for students. That's and maybe people who work for Bermuda tourism outside of Bermuda, or the Bermuda government offices. But this particular was not for Bermudians who just live overseas. Yeah. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah. And Jamel, I think do you think people are concerned about Bermudians who live abroad voting for something that might not benefit people on the ground? But I would just say, like Charles did, they may be thinking too small, because we could have one member of parliament who represents Bermudians who are overseas. In the States, they do that. For example, at the Democratic National Convention, they had votes for Democrats abroad, which means even if you're, say, for example, in Oxford studying and you're still a registered Democrat, you can have some say in the election because they recognize how valuable it is. So I would say, like, I think this is a good start, but I do think like we can, like, more progress is needed. And I would just encourage Bermudians to think more creatively about this, right? Like, it's not like we have to follow in the same way that things were always done. Oh, you have an MP assigned to an area. Like, we can get creative with it. And I think we should.
Yeah, I agree. And Rhonda Trott's asking, there's one man, one vote. Does those or do those who live overseas for the last decade or 50 years, what constituency do they vote in? I think that's what Teray was just saying, Charles was saying, have an MP to represent those overseas. I think that's the point.
Bermudians abroad.
Yeah, like have a specific MP. Now, again, I have things in my name and I actually have a said constituency in Bermuda and so on. So, I mean, my situation may be different. It may have to be a case-by-case basis. Again, if I really wanted to vote, we'd be fighting in court. But I honestly, if it's one thing conscription taught me, folks, is my uncle said it to me best: choose your battles, nephew. And I've got so many other things going on. And I'm being very honest and vulnerable with you in saying this, that sometimes the cause just doesn't get the attention because my priorities lie elsewhere, not because it's not important. It's just not important than the other things I'm doing right now. That doesn't mean in 2 years I won't be fighting for this. I want to be very clear about that because times change and as do our circumstances. So just because I'm not gung-ho all about, now for those who are consistent, props to you. I'm old now. I don't have the energy to be as consistent. I got bills to pay.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? Like, there should be people who are coming after you to kind of do the same levels of activism and change, right? So I think you're right. And you're still an activist, by the way. Also, I would suggest you should be the MP for Bermudians abroad. So for anyone who's interested in this, you're looking at your newest MP for Bermudians abroad. His name is Jamal Hartman.
No. First off, I wouldn't vote for me. So I don't expect anyone else to vote for me. I'll be real with you. Like, nope. Rhonda's right. She said, well, that's too large, but I'll read what I can from the side. She says, one Bermuda Alliance tabled that bill as an ambulance chaser. It's to appease those to make them feel like they were doing something first, even though they themselves having clearly defined what it is that they were tabling because they have not consulted with the public on that one question you asked, Jamal. My sister left, never returning when she was 10 years old. So she lived abroad for 50 years. She should not have the same rights to vote in Bermuda as I do. I'm sorry. What are your thoughts on that one, T?
Yeah, I want to respond. I want to say I agree with the sentiment that that the bill was tabled and it's not all worked out. But I think that's quite honestly the point, right? It's not just one bill and then it's passed. It goes through a first reading, second reading, drafts. So I think maybe they just wanted to put pressure on the government and the people, or to start these conversations like the one that Rhonda Trott is talking about, because I think she has a valid question. I just don't think that this is the end of it. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think this is the OBA saying, we are not as useless as people make us out to be. We're going to capitalize on this moment and we are going to put some pressure on the government to act, which I think has worked. So these conversations and these circumstances that Rhonda's talking about, and that, like what you talked about, Jamal, with you having a registered constituency, that's going to have to be worked out. But now it's on us and the opposition and the government to kind of come together and figure out what this looks like. Really, this is just a starting process. I read like a part of it and I was like, okay, now the game has started and now everyone should get ready to play. That's my take. Yeah.
I agree again, surprisingly, with her. And saying that.
Surprisingly. Brother, are you new here? Surprisingly.
But I do. You're right. It's to put pressure. Like it's gamesmanship. The PLP did the same thing. The PLP did nothing with conscription when they were government. When the OBA got in power, they dropped the bill on the government. So it's gamesmanship, almost, to say, to put pressure on them to say, hey, look, you haven't done it, but we're going to do it. They know they haven't done public consultation, but they're trying to let them know, look, election time comes and you haven't done it. At least we can say we tabled the bill and, people, whatever.
And we were the first party to do that, by the way. We were the first ones to ever table a bill about absentee ballots. So yada, yada, yada.
And they let it happen. Folks, this was your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Charles H. Jeffers says, the parliamentary registrar told me that a Bermudian can register to vote after being back for 1 day. However, there is no prescribed timeline for how or when Bermudians are removed from the list. All you gotta do is be a loudmouth on a mic, and they'll say, "Oh,
like you."
Yep, exactly." And take him off. He's not here, but they don't even know when I'm in Bermuda and when I'm not. That's the thing. They don't know, because they're not hitting up immigration to say, "Oh, is he in Bermuda or is he not?" They're not doing that, so they cannot tell me that I'm not an ordinarily a resident of Bermuda. They can't. They simply cannot. I mean, what, they gonna look at the background? They don't know where I do the show in Bermuda. Seriously, I literally do it in a similar room. So it's yeah. We've got Miss Ellen Kate Horton says, we need to consider that there are so many persons who left the island and literally have no connection. We might be biting off more than we can chew. Remember that many persons became Bermudian after 3 years on island and have long left. That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, again, it's going to probably have to be a case-by-case basis. Let's go through these final two comments. We've got to bring Teo Dillon for Daily Hour News Break. We've got Sheldon Fox says, yes, if they have their own MP, I'm interested in the process. Yeah, I like that suggestion by Charles. And Alan Kate Horton says, many things happen without public consultation. That is true. Charles H. Jeffs II says, we talk about attracting Bermudians to return home, but we're not making an effort to engage those Bermudians. Indeed, we're not. And then we have Sean Smith says, the British people have a say in what goes on in the overseas territories by way of the minister responsible for FCDO, and we don't seem to have a problem with that. All right, folks, we've got to bring Teo Dillon in for Daily Hour News Break. Before we do that, let's give some love to Titan Express and Secure for ensuring we can have these discussions with you on a regular basis.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty, folks. We've got Teo Dillon coming up with Daily Hour News Break. After that, we've got Mwalimu, Melodye, Micere, Van Putten coming on, and we're going to be speaking about the importance of the Ashay Program and African-centered education. Folks, so many people speak about the school system, so many people talk about the violence in our community. I am really looking forward to this conversation, and I think Teray set her return up to be this conversation. Well, let's bring Teo Dillon for Daily Hour. Also, the survey is live on our website, folks. Get there, fill it out. We're giving away tons of prizes. Not my decision because I'm cheap. No, I'm joking. But we've got tons of prizes for you if you fill it out.
Morning, Jay. Morning, Teray. Morning, fam. I'm Teo Dillon. Welcome to the TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples, who are here to make your hump day easier. They got quick prescriptions, all the beauty and health supplies that you need, along with free parking. Shout out to Peoples for reducing the amount of hassle we got to go through to get what we need done. Good morning very much to the both of y'all, and shout out to Teray for coming back. I just have to disagree with you, my dear sister, on two key points that you mentioned.
Please.
Number one, we already have a constitutional order that requires far too many Bermudians to serve as legislators in order for the government to function as it is. Adding another would mean that we've got 48. Now, the last confirmed count, the census population numbers, there were 48,000 Bermudians living here. That means, and that includes babies and 85-year-olds and above. That means 1 in 1,000 Bermudians would have to be a legislator in order to, fulfill the needs of the constitutional order. That's insane. That ratio is crazy. So anything that adds a member of parliament, it's just no. No,
I agree. No, I'm with you. I talked about this in my Rhodes interview. I said we shouldn't have 36 members of parliament. So I think we sack half of them and then add on. I'm not. Yeah, no. Yeah. Come on.
You left that part out. See,
I did. Yeah, it wasn't a fully articulated thought.
Yeah, subtract and add. That's it. Just subtract both. Add one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
or two. Who knows?
The only problem with that means this diluting the raw democratic power of our system, which is for me a really hard thing to argue. You know what I'm saying? Like the community, you need less influence over what happens on behalf of you in your government. It's like it's really rock and a hard place stuff. Now I'm not
Well,
anyway smart enough to go.
What if I say you actually get more representation? I mean, like now, because there's so many, your vote really does matter, right? But in Barbados, in St. Lucia, in the Caribbean, they don't have 36 members of parliament and they have more space. Like, I think we've been really like inefficient in the way we've drawn our boundaries. And I know there's a commission for that, but there's a commission for anything. So a commission doesn't automatically mean efficiency in my eyes. So Teo, I think you're right. It's a hard thing to argue, but I don't think that will be the effect. I think, in fact, you have more representation because the boundaries will be drawn in a way that works and you have better representation.
Okay.
I think that's so even if there is a little, I think it's a worthwhile trade-off. Even if there is a little, even if there's a little bit of, like you cannot directly swing an election with your one vote. I'm happy with that trade-off because then we become more efficient and we have people who are high performers. We attract talented people instead of people who are looking for a job. Like I'm with it.
Okay. And see, that framing is much harder to argue against. Thank you. The second thing was, ain't nobody need to be voting for Jay. He know it. In the same way, nobody should be voting for me. Like, no.
Both of you would have my vote.
We had Tay and Jay's political party will take you places, no return. You don't want that. You don't want that. Ask Rajay. You don't want the Tay and Jay connection happening.
I do. I'm nominating you guys. I'm dead serious. If I do anything around this absentee ballots, it's nominate Teo, Dill, and Jamal Hartman in some capacity.
Tay is way more intelligent, and because of his intelligence, he'll find a way to actually do things the right way. I'm ignorant. I'm like, come back. No, I'm not coming back. We're going this way. He knows that's who I am.
Jamal, you play ignorant. And you play ignorant, by the way. I'm catching on to your games.
No,
the longer I stay here, I'm catching up to your games. You play ignorant, and that's a valuable skill. That's a valuable skill.
See, you will not understand it. I know what bus I was on. Trust me.
All right. So, in the news, and this is an absolutely horrible segue, but 3 people are now in police custody in connection with the recent tragic murder of Janae Miners. A BPS rep explained the third arrested person is a 24-year-old man from Pembroke who's been picked up as part of the investigation into the death of Miss Miners, who was shot and killed while inside her Beauty Monster business on Dundonald Street on the afternoon of Tuesday, September 16th. The police are continuing to ask for witnesses who were in the court in Dundonald area on the day in question who got any recollection of any suspicious activity to contact DCI Derica Burns at 717-0921 or dburns@bps.bm.
And real quickly, Tay, I thought that they had one person charged. I didn't know they had 2 other people, but all that to say, it doesn't matter. We just want justice for this mother, her family, and the community. So 3 people. Okay.
Yeah, perfectly put. Now, regulation was a key local ingredient that has made Bermuda one of the leading crypto jurisdictions on the planet. This from Premier David Burt at the recent Forbes Black Summit, where he explained how we were able to reach the cutting edge of this developing global industry.
What it was that you have to, when it comes to regulation, a lot of people view regulation in a negative way, but regulation is something that Bermuda regards as its strength. And if you are building global businesses, you want to make sure that you have good regulation that allows you to build global business. And so from that perspective, we made it clear what you can do, what you can't do, and then we went on the road marketing and inviting people into the country. And I look at it, I kind of run, I would say, when you talk about Bermuda, I run a medium-sized country. There's only 6,000 people. There are many companies in Bermuda that have more employees than the entire population of our entire island. I mean, we're down the street from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You can fit the entire population of my country inside of that football stadium. We're that small. But the reality is that allows us to move very quickly.
He doesn't give me confidence when he speaks internationally. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. Dr. Brown gave me Paula Cox gave me confidence. Michael Dunkley even gave me a bit of confidence. Sir John gave me confidence. I don't, again, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful because there's politics. He doesn't give me confidence when he's speaking on the international stage on behalf of Bermuda.
The one thing that I mean, it's completely separate from the point that he was making. The one thing bugged me, it's like you could just say we're tiny,
and medium size. Medium size.
I get why, right? Because it may that particular word was focus grouped in relation to how we feel about that description, and we don't like being called small. Perhaps that's why I did it.
We're small,
tiny.
We're tiny. We're a dud,
and that's cool. It has to be cool.
Except
It's true. So it's got to be cool.
But again, no person at that mindset wants to admit that they represent such tiny. Tiny means almost meaningless to some people. So yeah, medium. Yeah.
That's a good point. Now, last night, Jamaica beat Bermuda 4-0 in the most recent World Cup qualifying match hosted in Kingston. That's a tough scoreline, but it doesn't quite show the fight that our Gombe Warriors brought to the field. An early own goal by Captain Dante Levrock set things back, and Jamaica pounced with goals from DeCordova Reed, Nicholson, and Richard sealing the match. The important thing for us to keep in mind, though, is that our crew did not roll over with a much more intense press in the second half, specifically with Naki Wells and Reggie Lamb forcing saves, earning corners, the whole shebang. That said, Jamaica's depth and pace proved just too much for us, which entirely makes sense considering their population and player pool is 44 times larger than our own.
Well, what I'll say is, since Naki Wells didn't play last night, hopefully the next two games, which we have a spoiler role to play, nor does Dante Levrock, Reggie Lamb, or Dale Eve. And what I say that not to be disrespectful. I think this is a great time to give some young players experience on this level so that in 4 years they have it and it's not new to them. Bermuda played a good role. They played their part in the first 4 games in these World Cup qualifiers, but now I think it would be in the best interest to kind of let some players, younger players, get them in there and experience this.
Yeah, and I've been shocked actually because I've been most impressed with the younger players. Deniche Hill, left back, Harry Twite have been phenomenal. Like, my favorite players on the team are all quite young, and I'm like, just imagine the amount of young talent that is not there on the field. So I agree.
Yeah, that's always been the reality here in Bermuda. That is to say, we are disproportionately good at almost everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't be competing at this level, and yet we are, right? So we just need to big them up, support them, and basically be grateful for them for getting into this place. St. Kitts ain't there, St. Lucia ain't there, right? Like it's amazing. We are incredible people.
But my papa used to tell me that the older team used to beat Jamaica, USA, Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. That could just be him, bigging himself up. You know what I mean?
We competed with them. People are stop that. Like, that time we beat Jamaica, it was the under 23 team was our team. Like, we competed with them. We drew 1-1 back in the early 90s, Gary Darrell's team, but we weren't beating them. We were competing with them. I think that's
Yeah, and that was a long time ago. Before, and you notice you're not mentioning any other countries outside of Jamaica that have always taken up a whole lot of space in the football world. Like, we weren't competing with Brazil, we weren't competing with the UK, we weren't competing with France, we were competing. You know what I'm saying?
Did you say
so?
UK?
I mean, they won once.
England, not the UK.
Oh, forgive me. Look, I'm a basketball guy,
not politics. Okay, what else you got? What's the first one?
Well, the weather-wise, today should be a pretty mixed bag. The great news is that the air temps are going to fall down into the 70s, so walking around outside will be much less likely to make you sweat through your work shirt. Bad news is that you're going to get wet anyway due to a series of lows bringing in a bunch of rain and wind in our direction for today through the end of the week. So the weather could be much worse, but it could definitely be a bit better.
It's been kind of chilly here. I was like 50-something this morning, walking to the gym in like shorts and stuff. And I'm just like, man, I love this feeling. Teray, you got any good days of the year for us today?
Yeah, I think you're both gonna love this.
All
right.
It's National Grouch Day.
Are you calling me a grouch?
I wish I could make eye contact with Jay. Oh my Lord. I just want to
So hold on.
I thought you would love this more than Teo would.
Well, hold on. Last week we were talking about Sesame Street, and I asked everyone their favorite Sesame Street character, and I said Oscar the Grouch, and
see that
he was the best character.
I knew you would love it.
Honestly, you can make that argument. Oscar was dope.
Yeah.
he occupied a particular place in the culture. But nobody beats Telly Monster. I'm just saying.
Who was your favorite Sesame Street character? Teray?
Cookie Monster.
Oh, of course.
Oh my,
Cookie
so
Monster?
pedestrian. Oh,
I guess.
Have a
But
wonderful-
anyway, I was gonna ask you who's your favorite gouge, but Jamal, you already told me. You said Oscar the Gouge. Taya, who's your favorite gouge? Is it Jamal?
yeah. I got to think about it. I'm mad you even asked me. Of course.
Teray?
My favorite gouge, probably like every professor I've ever had. I feel like they hate their jobs.
Go to class today. We'll see you later. We've got a guest coming up.
Take care, y'all.
If you haven't already, don't go to class, Teray. If you haven't already, go to our website, join this commercial break, and make sure that you fill out the survey. This year's survey is live. Quite a few of you had filled it out already without us even telling you on the show. So if you haven't already, Renee Simmons, Rhonda Trott, Michael Daniels, Rosalind Famous, Sheldon Fox, Sean Smith, Ellen Kate Horton. I'm just going to name people who commented this morning. WKD Lama. Just go on the site, fill out the survey. And for those tuned in on Hot 107.5, take your time, go to dailyhour.com, fill out the survey. And if you're streaming with us online and you haven't already, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take this quick break. We'll be back in about, you'll see when you see our faces. Stick with us. We've got Malawi. I think I said it right. Melodye, Micere, Van Putten coming up. We're talking about Afrocentric education and the Ashay program. Stick with us.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
At HSBC, how we do business in our community is as important to us as what we do for our community.
We are here at Hungary Bay with HSBC today. We're planted over 500 mangroves using 2 different methods. This work is very vital for our mangrove ecosystem and would not be possible without HSBC's generous support.
I am super happy that we have a team here of colleagues helping us replant some of the mangroves. Mangroves are critical for preserving coastal nature, and with recent hurricanes they have been taken away by waves. By replanting them, we are really helping nature be at its best.
Thank you so much for HSBC for sponsoring the Microforest Project, but by extension, the Hungary Bay Restoration Project.
Thank you to all of the charities, corporate partners, and HSBC volunteers for your commitment to our community.
SCARS stands for Saving Children and Revealing Secrets, and we are a Bermuda nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce the risk of child sexual abuse and to be an advocate and a voice for children who've been sexually molested, as well as their affected family. New media like the Daily Hour is really important in partnering with organizations like SCARS. It's another platform for us for awareness. There can be no radio silence as it relates to child sexual abuse, and we need as many initiatives as we can get. We need to keep this message alive. In terms of us and the work that we do, live engagement is good because it allows the audience to ask questions, to make comments, even to provide us with encouragement and support. What I love about the live engagement when Scar's being interviewed by Jamel is just this feeling of safety, this feeling that he gets it. He cares about children. It's a connection.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here. She's Teray Tall. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. And folks, repeat after Mark Arthur C. Phillips. Yeah. He said, fill out the survey and do it ASAP. The data needed from the TDA survey is vital for the growth of this platform. So again, if you haven't already, please fill that survey out. We literally take the information to try to make this show better, make sure that we're aligning the right partners for you and yours. So thank you all who have done it already. And for those who haven't, please do us that big favor. But without further ado, let's please give a warm welcome to our very special guest today. She's an educator. She's someone who has made a difference and believes she still can make a difference in our community. We're going to have a conversation that I think Teray is licking her lips about. All right? Loves this stuff. But please give a warm TDH welcome to Mwalimu, Melodye, Micere Van Putten. Hello, welcome. How are you? Got an issue. All right, we're gonna have to. Okay, she's gonna have to leave and come back because we have challenges. Let's fix this. Yeah, there's a delay. So we'll work on that, and then we'll bring her back in a minute. But Teray,
in the meantime, though, let's go back to some of the comments. We were talking about cutting MPs, because Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, "Be careful now. Cutting MPs may not sit well with our elected officials." It's not about them. It's not about them. I agree with you. I don't think
you want to do it even more,
right, Mark? I agree with you. I don't think they're like it at all. But really, it's just not about them. It's about us. And Bermuda has the most members of parliament in the Caribbean. Meanwhile, we're one of the smallest. To me, that math doesn't math.
In comparison with Turks and Caicos and Cayman Islands in particular, we use those examples. We've given you the numbers, folks. It's not about them. It's about, and if they were seriously there for the service of the country, then at the end of the day, they will understand that. But hey,
absolutely.
Need a job.
And also, Jamel, I think you'll agree with me on this one too. I'm kind of on a roll. This is like the longest streak we've ever had of consensus. But if we cut down the number of MPs, say from 36 to 8, would you be okay with a pay increase if it meant that you're attracting people like Teo Dill?
I've always said, like, again, when we discussed this on the show previously about dropping the number, increase to try to attract better people. I know some people saying, well, some people are not doing it for the money. They may not be doing it for the money, but if you're trying to get them to leave well-paying jobs when they've got certain, mortgage to pay or so on, then money does, matter, right? We need better people. Let's just be honest. We want better people to make themselves available.
I'm with you. I would pay the right candidate, or I would be open to paying the right candidate lots of money, and that's how it should be. Michael Daniel says, if people are serious enough, starting out as unofficial should not prevent the establishment of the initiative. I think he's talking about the absentee ballots, right? Like starting out as a unofficial bill or first bill reading. And then Charles H. Jeffers II says, I agree, we need fewer MPs overall. We also need an elected Senate. You lost me with that one, Charles. We shouldn't have people voting on legislation who are not elected.
I think that's been we can't want certain things without the whole thing, though. And
what do you mean by that?
We're not independent. We're not heading towards that space. You know, we don't even want our own anthem or flag. We have Bermudians running around talking about our colors are red, white, and blue, not pink and blue. Red, white, and blue, really? Given like, but it doesn't surprise me because we walk around proudly representing last names that were given to us, not ours, and so on. Like we've had an argument about gumbays the last few days where everyone's missing the other person's point, right? It's just we're so disconnected. That's why I feel like guests like today, if we can get her through, so important when it comes to Afrocentric African education. We're lost. We're lost. There's no collectiveness. There's no understanding of the importance of sacred culture and history. So when I look at that and we talk about winning elected senators, we have to be courageous enough to actually win our own system. We're not there. Why do we, Miss Horton says, leave the white out, red and blue works. It doesn't.
Hey, Miss Horton, my favorite.
Why do we need colors from colonial masters? Like, these are the colors.
No, I think she was talking about Somerset.
Oh.
She said red and blue. See, you St. George's folks.
Slow moment. Yeah, I tell you all, I know what bus I was on. I know what bus I was on. Don't try and make excuses with me. Miss Horton, you got me on that one. You got me on that one. Oh, this is why I can't talk to you all. Anyway, let's bring Miss our guest, Miss Van Putten, on for the show, folks.
Yes.
As stated, this is a very important conversation, dear to our hearts. I think these conversations we don't have enough. So let's give another warm TDH welcome to I'm gonna get it right this time. Mwalimu, Melodye, Micere, Van Putten. Let's give a warm TDH welcome.
All right.
We got it.
I hate technology.
You know what? Honestly, it's a necessary. I don't like the word evil, but
evil. It is a necessary evil.
It's a necessary.
But I thank you.
Thank you for your patience, for working with us through the technology. And I just want to start because I'm excited for this conversation. Let me tell you why I'm excited. I was just picking on Miss Ellen Kate Horton. You've got Rashida Godwin. You've got Traveling Trotty. You've got Charles H. Jeffers. You've got so many people who reach out to us often. Hey, here's someone you should have on the show. Here's someone. And I'm always like, well, that's great, but do you have their contact info? And they send the contact info. So my apologies to you in front of everybody for being over 5.5 years in, and this is the first time we've had you on. That's our apologies, firstly, and I hope it's not the last. But also, for those who don't know why I'm gushing over you and why I'm upset that this is the first time, just tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Well, first, let me just thank you for having me today. Everything is in divine timing and order, so it's all good. I am an Africologist educated at Temple University as a presidential fellow. I have used my academic training to create first Black History workshops for children, and then that became the Ashay Program as an African-centered program that puts us in the center of our history. I am the author of 19 books. I have written curriculum and have programs implemented in the U.S., Bermuda, and Kumasi, Ghana.
Oh, I love it.
19 books?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
I'm just on my first one, about to release it. And it's not a book, but no, I appreciate that, and I hope that we can get back to your book so that some of the audience can actually learn from them. But let's jump into the conversation because I was in Bermuda 2007 to 10, and I knew about the Ashay Program. But for those who have never heard about it, what is the Ashay Program and what inspired its creation in Bermuda back in the early 2000s?
The impetus for Ashay started with my own child trying to teach my own son his history and culture. I came to Bermuda in 2001 as the interim social studies education officer, and was really kind of shocked that there was not a sufficient amount of Black history, Bermuda's Black history, in the curriculum as an official topic that needed to be studied and that young people needed to be proficient at. And I began to do that. But then beyond that, I've always done work in the community. In fact, that's really my base, is community work. And so I was asked to create a rites of passage program for a group of teens, and that became the Ashay program. Ashay means it is good. I believe it is good for young people to know their history and their culture and learn the lessons that it carries from within.
The program focused on teaching Black history, identity, and self-love, especially for young Black boys, right?
Yes.
What kind of impact did you see in the students and communities that took part?
Young people are hungry for seeing themselves in their educational experiences. I believe one of the issues we have is that young people feel alienated from what they learn because they don't see themselves. So when we talk about self-love and when we talk about Black history, there are two things that are paramount for me. One is to connect the dots. What's happening in Bermuda has happened in Jamaica, has happened in the US, has happened in the continent itself. So to connect the dots, we are a global people. Perhaps that's part of what it means to be African-centered, is to understand that our history is in fact global and that we are connected to one another, and our enslavement experience really forced a disconnection. In terms of what students say, you know, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of self-love. It's hard for me to go anywhere and not see some of my now grown young people who had the Ashay program and remember things. But when you talk about self-love and self-knowledge and community, I think that's wrapped up in the 4 Ashay objectives that all young people learn. That is, I am valuable and have genius. My history and culture are sources of knowledge with lessons to be learned. I must develop my character to be successful in life. And the world is waiting for me to contribute my gifts and talents. Those are the 4 Ashay objectives. And when a young person is rooted in that, they know there's nothing that they cannot do, that they can look at their history, both their personal history as well as the larger history, and extract lessons so that they can make less mistakes. And that their community, in fact, the world is waiting for them to contribute their gifts and talents.
Indeed.
Absolutely. So the program ended in 2008, but there's been a growing momentum and a movement calling for its return. Why do you think there's such a renewed interest? And what do you think the Ashay program can do for the community right now, considering the increased levels of violence, antisocial behavior nearly 2 decades later?
I think it's a renewed interest because we cannot continue to do what we have done and expect a different result. Our young people, the young people, and it is a small segment, but they are managing to wreak a certain amount of havoc in our community. They don't know who they are. I mean, truly, they do not know who they are. The Ashay program gives cultural grounding so that you know who you are as well as whose you are, that you are rooted in something larger than yourself because your history shows you what your people have done, what they have overcome, and what they're capable of doing. So I think that the renewed interest is that we must do something different. We have to teach our children who they are so that they can be contributing members of the community. We do that by giving them a sense, a deep sense of who they are based on a history that's there. I mean, the program ran for 5 years and it worked. The program ran here in the United States for 15 years and it worked. The program is currently running in Kumasi, Ghana, to the point where they're having me come back for a month for an educator in residence to teach an entire school, 700 children, of which I am creating sustainable curriculum to do that. It works because it gives our children a sense of not only who they are, but what they can achieve, how they can be contributing members to our communities.
I love that. Can you talk more about that cultural grounding? Like, how do you see that cultural education playing a role in addressing the issues? And why is an African-centered education so important in confronting it?
Cultural grounding simply means that I am connected to my historical roots, that there's something valuable about that. And of course, there are values that are taught in the Ashay program that are simply clothed in our own cultural garb, if you will, but they're universal values. I'm talking Ma'at, truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, order, and reciprocity, combined with the Nguzo Saba that we celebrate during Kwanzaa, unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. They provide a cultural expression of universal values that young people learn how to apply those values in their lives. So, for example, self-determination, Kuji Chakalia, is one of my favorites because if a young person cannot read, cannot write, cannot think critically, does not have a sense of self-discipline, they cannot be self-determining in the world, right? So how do you teach that? You teach that by giving them values. You teach that by showing examples that reflect who they are, what they look like. And then you help them to explore how they can do that in their own lives.
Interesting. I just want to say real quickly, audience, if you have any questions or comments, please send them through. We'll get through as many comments and questions as necessary or possible. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I was at the most recent town hall, which addressed violence in the community, and one man stood up and very powerfully advocated for the return of the Ashay program as a solution to the recent uptick in violence and knife crime in Bermuda, that initially piqued a lot of my interest. I'm really happy to be talking to you today. But if the Ashay program were reinstated today, what changes would you like to see to make it even more relevant for today's young people and also the problems of today?
Well, the first thing I would do is to make sure that educators as well as parents are well informed about what we're trying to do. There's always been misconceptions about what it means to have an African-centered education. And I say that because we teach Viking history, we teach British history, we teach the empires of China, but we do not teach African history. That is our empires, that our contributions. I mean, the reality is that we were the first people to live on the earth and literally created the foundations for civilization. That is information that young people don't generally get. So when you say, what would I do differently? There's not a lot I would do differently other than doing programs like this to expose our people to what it is about so that we can erase some of the fear and some of the stereotypes around what it means to learn about one's history and culture. You see, we have been taught not to value who we are. And so Ashay teaches cultural grounding. That is, I am valuable and have genius. My ancestors were valuable and they had genius, and what they did, I can also do. So I would, in terms of something different, it would be to get the word out in such a way that folks can embrace the program and understand its value, not only to young people, but also to adults. You see, none of us have learned our history and culture in a sufficient manner. So I also do Ashay University, which is adult community education. And so we all need to be on this journey of self-knowledge for self-love.
I appreciate so much this conversation. I'll get to the comments in the audience, but if you have any questions about the topic, please send them through. I appreciate this very much. As I've grown older, just using Bermuda in context, I don't know about Teray. I graduated probably before she was born from high school, but in saying that, we weren't taught about a Sally Bassett. We weren't taught about a Mary Prince, just local Black history. We were only taught the good Dr. King, the Dr. King that they wanted us to know.
Yep.
We were not taught history as I had to read or learn on my own as an adult. And I think parenting, in my opinion, and this is no disrespect to my parents' generation, but I think we did lose a generation in terms of getting comfortable in certain spaces and feeling like, oh, no, race is not an issue because I'm able to buy a home and work. We now have a time where everything's about DEI and wanting to be in these different spaces. So we're not even focused on the history as much. We're focused on the equality and trying to be in spaces that we're not wanted. How does history play a role in this, though? How do you believe that history plays a role in getting us to the point where we are able to be self-sufficient and build on our own? And through that, because someone said in the audience, and I'll get to it, children mimic what they see, right? Like, I'm an entrepreneur. I grew up around that. When I speak to so many of my American counterparts out here, they say they're the first ones, they've never had entrepreneurs around them and so on. I take that. I'm like, yeah, we do mimic what we see to an extent. This is all I saw, So how do we get to a point where we're no longer losing generations and people are not dismissive, saying, oh, the violence has nothing to do with race. Black people are shooting, black people are in prison. Like, how do we maneuver around that to the point where we understand the responsibility we have to learn stuff and teach it and allow our children and generations behind us to mimic us as the spokespersons and the actors of the importance of Black and African education?
Again, this is where history is particularly instructive. When you say that you didn't see it, all we have to do is take a look at our history and we see it there. We see it there. We see the entrepreneurs, we see the inventors, we see the innovators, we see the educators. We see it in the history. So we may not have a personal example, for example, but if we read the history, those people are there and their lessons are within the knowledge that they contain. So once again, people who know who they are know how to maneuver. They can figure it out because their ancestors figured it out. We have survived a long time now. One of the questions I ask is, when are we going to thrive? But you don't thrive if you don't know who you are. When we talk about young people who are engaged in antisocial and violent behavior, you don't really think they know who they are. They don't know that they come from greatness. They don't know that they come from people who literally built empires and created, as I say, the foundations of civilization. In fact, one of the things I say all the time when I do the African Foundation timeline is that Africa equals excellence, because if you know that history, you know that we are people that not only came from excellence, but we established the foundation for excellence in antiquity. Another reason why the history is important, and I'm going to ask the two of you that on the count of three, just snap your fingers. 1, 2, 3. That's how long we were enslaved compared to how long we've been on the planet. It was a snap in historical time. We focus on the snap, not on the fact that we were here in 10,000 BC and we literally created all the things that we are still using today, from the domestication of animals to the science of agriculture to music and instruments to mathematics, architecture, governance, religious systems. That came from us. That came from us. Don't you think we need to know that?
Yeah.
But let me just say something else very quickly. We're the only people that depend on systems outside of ourselves to teach our history and culture. No other ethnic group does that.
Yeah,
we've been taught to do that, and it makes sense for Ashay to be in schools because that's where most of our children are. But regardless of that, we need to know our history so that we can properly teach our children.
Yeah, we've got quite a few questions I'm going to get to, but I think that's a point that Junior Birchall, known as Ojala Amadele, used to say all the time. We're the only group who sends children to others to be educated.
And I trained Omadele. I trained him.
There you go. See, little connection. See, speaking the words. Lamone Woods asking, why is it important for it to be mandated in our education system, the Ashay program?
Well, let me just go back to once upon a time, it was mandated in the middle school system. You see, we had character education, and you had a values program at the primary school, and then you had the Ashay program as a character education program in the middle schools. Minister of Education, the Honorable Terry Lister, mandated Ashay to be in the schools after it was piloted at Delwood Middle School. And I began to train teachers, create more curriculum to go to the middle schools, and it was mandated. It needs to be mandated again because young people need to know their history and culture, but not only just Black young people, all children need to know this history and culture because that establishes a foundation of respect. You respect me when you know my ancestors have given something powerful to civilization.
And that was going to be another question from Lemon. He was asking, how do children of other ethnic backgrounds benefit from the Ashay? But I want to touch on that because in Florida, where I moved from recently, the governor there, and as well as many of his colleagues, conservative colleagues, were about banning certain books. Speak to us about why or what other groups will benefit from learning about our education. I mean, we had to learn theirs, but also the impact of hiding these books through legislation and policy.
Okay, so let me just say this. We have to be an awful powerful people for folks to do so much to hide the history, to obscure the history. It's like going to Egypt and or Kemet and seeing the noses and the lips lopped off of these monoliths because you don't want the folks to know that African people built these tremendous and just magnificent structures. Everybody who learns, particularly children of other ethnic groups, again, we're talking about respect. All right. You respect me if you know that I have come from more than enslavement and that my existence is not just to serve you. Right. If I know who I am, how I look at myself, how I look at others is decidedly different than if I think that the only thing that my people have ever done is been enslaved and are the creators of gangster music and all the rest. It is the same for white folks or any other ethnic group. They need to know, just like we need to know. That's how you establish a foundation of mutual respect, is when everybody learns, and you said it, Jamal, we have learned their history. Of course, we've had to learn their history. We have not had a choice. They need to learn this history as well. If we're going to shift the trajectory of not only race relations in general, but also in terms of capturing our young people. So you can't teach them at 13 and 14. You need to teach them at 6 and 7, right? And one of the things I say to parents, if it's not cute at 14, it's not cute at 4. That we need to teach our young people not only who they are, but whose they are in a way that they become upstanding young people. And for the other ethnic groups, that they learn who we really are and have respect and genuine affection. I really don't like the term tolerance. I don't want to be tolerant. I want to be appreciated, right? So the only way you can teach appreciation is to know what a people have done. Who wants to be tolerated in terms of this idea of tolerance? No. We want to be appreciated, and you are appreciated based on what you have contributed to your society.
And I guess, I mean, we've spoken about the Ashay program's existence. We've spoken about people, Teray mentioned being at the town hall and people standing up and speaking about bringing it back and so on. And I guess this question here by the man was, who has the authority to reinstate the program?
The government, the Ministry of Education, which is why we have a petition online that people can sign. I don't know if you can see this code and I can send it to you, but we need to make our voices heard, right? We have to demand this. We have to insist that this happen. And we have to understand, and there will be more community meetings and other opportunities for people to become truly informed so that they can call their MPs, that they can call the Ministry of Education and advocate for this program to not only help our children, but empower our children. Right? We cannot wait till young people are already teenagers to try and tell them who they are. They already think they know who they are. We have to do that at the beginning in primary school and keep working through that process, that educational process, so that they see themselves, that they feel empowered by the examples that history reveals to them, whether it's Bermuda's history or whether it's the global Black history. Because again, part of what Ashay does is to connect the dots so that we know that we are one people, despite the fact that we have been dispersed as a result of enslavement.
Michael Daniels, he says, I believe that it is infinitely important for the parents and elders of the children to be aware of the Black history because children mimic what they see. Well, you said something, and I say it all the time as it related to conscription. And it's not about discipline, right? You don't wait to, and I hate to compare us to dogs, but I do it to make this point on the show all the time. But you don't wait to a dog is grown to start training it. You train the puppy, right? And that's what you're saying with the teen. You don't wait till someone's 13, 14 to get them. You start while they're 6 or 7. I think that's been an age-old argument for me, is that we wait too long to get to children about things that should matter. There's so many ways that we can take this conversation, and so many things that we need to discuss that I just want to have a whole conversation with you about Kwanzaa as well, like the importance of recognizing holidays. And even if people say, oh, this is some made up holiday, hey, look, we can, if we want to go there.
All holidays are made up.
Exactly, right? Like legit, every last one. But for those listening who want to get involved and help bring back the Ashay program, beyond the petition, what steps can we all take? What kind of community support does a program like this need to thrive?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is to be informed. There are going to be forums. In fact, on October 21st at the Bermuda National Library, there will be a lunch and learn on Ashay so that you can be fully informed about what this program is about and its potential to really help shift the trajectory for our young people. So be informed, right? Second thing is call your MP, write Ministry of Education. Be informed by being an advocate for this program. The other thing that you can do is, and I already mentioned about the petition, but the idea that this kind of conversation needs to take place. So talk with your circle of influence about the importance of us teaching our children who they are, this history, that it starts not with enslavement, but it starts at the beginning of time. Talk about these things that we have done, that our young people are bereft of that knowledge. The other thing is, I've written 2 books specifically about Bermuda's history. Ashay Bermuda History Stories for Children and Ashay Bermuda History for Young People. We need to know the history in order to teach it. Those books are available that teach the history about who we are. And it doesn't start with enslavement. It starts at the beginning of time. In fact, you have to go through the empires and the values and all of that before you start with the enslavement experience in Bermuda. And then you go through that experience. People, like you said, you learn about Mary Prince, but do you know about the impact of the Bermuda Industrial Union and what E.F. Gordon did to grow that to such a powerful organization? That's our history. That's Bermuda history. But once you know that, it's connected to other movements that were happening at the same time. Paulu Camaracafego, the work that he did around the world connecting Black history. Do you know that? And when you know that, then you have a sense of not only who you are, but the power that you can contain. I mean, you mentioned earlier about folks banning history. They only ban history when they want you to know how powerful you are.
We've got one last question from the audience. Amika DeShields asking, I may have missed this, but would this program be effective at the high school level, or is it intended for young students?
It is effective at every level. In fact, I have written curriculum for children from the age of 5 to folks 105, because all of us need to learn the history in such a way that we can apply it and apply its lessons. You see, Ashay is not about merely dates and figures and events in history. It's about how can I use this to empower myself and grow my family, grow my community with this knowledge. So it is effective at every level, but it is highly effective when you get children who can tell you, I mean, have you ever heard a 5-year-old say, I am valuable and have genius? It just warms your heart. And so I say, even at the high school level, uh, there are lessons to be learned. In fact, one of the things the high school students often say is, why didn't I learn this earlier? Why didn't I get this information in primary school and middle school? So that's one of the questions that the high school students ask as they begin to devour this knowledge. So yes, we need it at every level. And again, the book, Ashay Bermuda History for Young People, delves into that history for that age group. We need this now more than ever. Because there's so many other influences that our young people are consuming, that they need to consume something that's wholesome, that's self-love, that's self-knowledge, that builds community. If we're waiting for somebody else to do it, we got a problem.
Patricia Chapman's asking, have you had the opportunity to present the Ashay program to the Minister of Education and other cabinet ministers?
Not in a way that I would like to. The former Minister of Education is well aware. In fact, the Department of Education is well aware of the Ashay program. I think that's one of the ways that the community can really add pressure to getting this done, is to contact them, overflow the lines, the emails, contacting them. I would love to present to the current Minister of Education, but it is of note that some of these educators, including our Honorable Premier, have their children learning about the Ashay program in the independent clubs that are run in Bermuda. So there are people who know, but the community pressure that is needed to implement this program has to happen with us. We have to press our MPs, the Ministry of Education, the Department of Education, write letters to the editor. We have to apply the pressure to get something done. We have the power. We have the power.
Dorian's just asking, where can your books be purchased?
Bookmart has all 19 of my books.
All righty. Thank you so much. Just let people know how they can get in touch with you should they want to reach out.
Yes, you can contact me via email. That's the best way to get me. It is Melodye Van Putten, MELODYEVANPUTTEN, all one word, lowercase, at AOL.com. And just reference this show so that I know that you're not spam. But yes, please contact me. I also have a website, educatorpoet.com, that gives more information about me, the books, the Ashay clubs. Always looking for young people to engage. We have Ashay babies and Ashay kids and Ashay teens. We also have, in November, I'll be doing the Life Before Enslavement Ashay University course for adults, because again, we don't know the information. So, I'm steady doing the work, whether the work goes wide or whether it stays small. I'm steady doing the work, because that, I believe, is my divinely ordered purpose. And again, I thank you both for having me on, because all things unfold in divine time. Now is the time for Ashay.
I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for making time for us and the audience. We'll definitely have to do this again, but until then, have a wonderful day, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much, Ashay.
Thank you, Ashay.
That was Mwalimu, Melodye, Micere, Van Putten. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please do us a huge favor, whether you're on streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back after this. While we're taking that break, make sure you fill out that survey. We'll be back. We've got a daily play as well. I want to see if someone or you all know the answer to this music-related question. Stick with us.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At FriesenBrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal, cost-effective risk management cover to help protect your business, whether it be cyber, directors and officer liability, professional indemnity, or property insurance. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our full suite of competitive corporate insurance products. At FriesenBrook, we provide insurance you can count on.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC. Bermuda business starts here.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazog Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
PALS is a cancer care charity. We started 45 years ago. What started as a charity with a half-time nurse, and basically just assisting patients going home from the hospital, but patients dying at home. We now, 45 years later, have 6 nurses, a social worker, and a palliative care physician. I know a lot of people that watch the Daily Hour every day, so it's just educational. It helps you know more about specific charities or specific organizations, and kind of get the nitty gritty as opposed to just seeing a flyer on social media or just hearing or seeing a commercial. I think it's more beneficial. Like if I'm on the radio or on TV, I'm just like telling you what I think you want to know. But you might have specific questions that I can answer directly. I think it's much better having the live engagement.
Welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Mwalimu, Melodye, Micere, Van Putten for stopping by for such an important conversation. Folks, again, if you appreciated the discussion, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Twitter, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with you with these most important community conversations. Folks, it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it's a It's music today. It's music. It's music.
All right.
All right, this is an easy one. It's an easy one, audience. Mariah Carey collaborated with which men's group to perform the song One Sweet Day, which became a #1 hit?
Bad Boys, Boys to Men.
ACM.
Oh, wait, but hang on. I guessed that too. I said Bad Boys, Boys to Men.
It was already on the screen when you said it.
No, it was not. Roll back the tape. No, it was not.
She had already put it on the side.
Stacey M. Brown, you definitely got it, but I'm taking credit for that too.
Boys to Men. Yeah. You said Bad Boys? Who's Bad Boys?
I said Bad Boys and then Boys to Men. It was my brain was clearing out the junk.
Who's Bad Boys though? Martin and Will?
No, wasn't there a band called Bad Boys? Bad Boy Records?
Well, that's P. Diddy's.
Diddy?
Yeah, that's his record label, Bad Boy.
So I was definitely clearing out the junk with that answer.
Wow. Well, hey, look, can't be perfect. No one's got it all, right? No one's got it all together. Yeah. But she said Bad Boy. But she said Boys to Men. Audience, we're gonna give our final thoughts, but real quickly, again, if you haven't already, Chic Arena, Stacey M. Brown, Kia JXO, NTS, Renee Simmons, Dorian, Patricia Chapman, Anika DeShields. If you haven't, go on our website, thedailyhour.com. It'll take you about 10 minutes. Help us by completing our survey. Douglas DeCudo, please go on our website and complete our survey. Our annual survey is up. Teray, what's your final thoughts on this morning's discussion? And then obviously our guests today.
I think the morning discussion was great. I mean, I'm really happy that I came back at this time because absentee ballots, the Ashay program, genuinely, it was divine timing. So I'm excited to see the updates, I think, with the bill. And I hope that people who have an opinion are given an opportunity to express it and influence it. The government can, talk about public consultation, yada, yada, yada. But I think the OBA was smart by tabling this bill first and kind of beating them to the punch, because public consultation is going to happen regardless, because I know for a fact that Bermuda Youth Connect will make another stink if it's not. And I just know people are interested and invested now. And when issues are salient, they rarely fall by the wayside. So I'm excited. And I think the OBA did a good job by tabling this. The bill itself will go through various iterations as it should. But onto the Ashay program. Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful conversation and program. I had gotten glowing reviews from the town hall because a man literally stood up and said the Ashay program was doing wonders, and then it stopped and it was defunded. Mm-hmm. But talking just now and hearing the intention and the purpose and the thought behind it, it was really, really beautiful. Something that stuck out to me though was the importance of cultural grounding for everyone. And that stuck to me because oftentimes I think Black history is framed as exclusively for Black people in the States. And I'm like, no, Black history is American history. It's not just for Black people, but I think we haven't really reckoned with that fact yet. So I feel really hopeful, and I hope that the Ashay program gets the support that it needs. People should sign the petition, write an email to your MP. Remember, they're there to represent your interest, so nobody should feel shy to do it. But yeah, it was great. I loved it.
No, I again with you as it relates to the absentee ballots. I think the OBA, they did what the PLP did with the conscription bill. It's easier to do when in this space to introduce a bill when you're in the opposition, because you can use that as an argument when the election comes. If it's not done, well, you try to push. So it can be politically expedient or relevant. That said, I don't think the OBA's bill goes far enough. I think it's very limited, and I think that's political also. And I will say this. I get why you want to protect the vote for people who are ordinarily residents of Bermuda, but I think even defining that may become difficult because, again, you cannot tell me I'm not normally a resident of Bermuda. You don't know when I'm there or not unless you're literally checking every last person, not just me, on when they're in the island and when they're not. As far as the conversation regarding the Ashay program, I absolutely love that we are in a space where more people are intrigued about not just learning, but teaching about African-centered education. I don't know why we're so afraid of it, but then I'm like, yeah, I get it. History shouldn't scare us. It should empower us. And I think that's where there's a disconnect. History is going to tell us some things that we may not want to hear. But in the end, it should do some things for us that are not being done. And that's bring us together. That's help us build. That's help to build some sort of collectiveness within our community. So I appreciate it. And let's see where it goes from here. Dexter Smith says, if you leave Bermuda permanently, you lose the right to vote. This should only be for ordinary residents, student overseas contracted. How do you do that? Here's why I think that's, excuse my language, but I think it's ridiculously stupid. Because if there's someone who's very talented, whether it's Kalen Castle or Teray Toll gets a big job in some New York City office, or Connor Smith who's coaching overseas, these people are still Bermudian, but they don't have the opportunities to thrive outside Bermuda. So I think it's ridiculously stupid to keep leaning into things that are normal and not looking at things that could be. Don't limit yourself because Bermuda doesn't have the facilities and space for the talent that is Bermudian. Don't take the right away because they're putting Bermuda on the map. Like, think before we start making these regular comments. Seriously. Because all you're thinking about, people who leave and they don't contribute. You don't know what people are doing. Stop with the uneducated, unthoughtful, non-intellectual popularism comments. It don't work with me. And that's one that I just can't deal with. You cannot tell somebody whether they're living there permanently or not. And who are you to say they don't deserve that right because they're excelling at something beyond Bermuda that Bermuda doesn't offer? You all sound like the people that Ms. Van Putten are trying to teach us not to be. No disrespect, just my truth. All right, Teray, you got any daily inspiration for us?
I do, and it ties in perfectly. It's from Arthur Ashay, and they say one important key to success is self-confidence. An important key to self-confidence is preparation and knowledge of history.
Yeah. I think history will go a long way in changing the mindset of so many young people who are moving into spaces that are not beneficial for them. Folks, we've got to go. Don't forget, go fill out the survey if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we're able to pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Teray Toll. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.